Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the movie Dune, not the 84 movie, not the 2000 miniseries, the new 2021 Dune. So I have read the book, so I'm not really going to be talking about the plot much, because I've already talked about that. I don't really want to make the same video twice, so if you want to know my thoughts about like the basic plot structure of Dune, then look at my review above. Though I would warn you there are some spoilers for part two, so take with that as you will. You know, the book's been out for like 70 years at this point, so it's not like huge, but that's if you want to know my thoughts on the book, like the basic plot of the movie, watch my review of the book. This one I'm gonna be talking about more like the cinema stuff, like not exactly the plot itself. So first off, I want to talk about the visuals. I thought the movie was truly stunning. You know, all the landscapes we went through, like the Caladan, and we saw Arrakis. Arrakis was so well done. The desert landscape looked so real. I don't know if it was real or not. I don't really know much about BD behind the scenes of the movie, but it's kind of similar like The Mandalorian. Like I thought The Mandalorian was actually filmed in a desert. Then I saw the making of, and I was like, oh, that's just the studio. That's not a desert, so it might be like that. I don't really know. But basically, like the ships, they look really good. Like the ships look very good in this movie. It's just a very like epic, large scale, and we really haven't had that. We really haven't had like such ambition and dedication put into a movie that isn't Marvel lately. Like I feel like every large budget movie has to be a superhero movie or another Star Wars. But this proves that there's more there's more epic worthy movies than those two. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't really seen like such an epic movie in a while. I'm not talking about TV here. I'm talking about strictly movies. So yeah, in terms of like the large scale and the visuals, it's truly stunning. Like how Blade Runner 2049 really made use of their like sci-fi visuals. This one does too. Like every piece of this movie looks like a work of art. I also really enjoy how slow paced this movie is. I think there's definitely a good idea to make it into two different movies, like a two-part movie, similar to Lord of the Rings or Kill Bill. So you could just focus on like the little individual things, and you know, I think like there's this expectation in movies nowadays that every second has to be like fun and exciting, kind of caused by Marvel movies. Kind of like change the public's perception. No, don't get me wrong, I love Marvel movies. I'm not one of those like, ooh, look at me, I'm a true movie watcher. I don't like Marvel movies. They're not real cinema. That's not true at all. Marvel movies are definitely real cinema. They're great movies. However, I think it's created this landscape where like every movie has to be this big actiony thing. But this movie kind of proves like you could have a good sci-fi movie without like something going on every second. Because I feel like that if that movie did that, it would work because the movie's plot is so complex and hard to follow. Now, I don't know. I can't really say that much because like I read the book, so I pretty much knew what was going on. But my sister didn't read the book, so she was just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm very confused. So some people might think this movie's confusing. I can't comment. You may very well think that, but I couldn't possibly comment. How's a college reference? But yeah, that's probably a negative. I don't have this thought, but some people do. So I thought the acting was very good. Timothy Chalamet was really good as Paul. I haven't seen him in that many movies. I think the only one I've seen him in is Little Women. But yeah, he's a good actor. He's good at like playing like the innocence of Paul, but also having to take on this hard task. I thought his mom was really good. Like she's a really good actress. I think her name's Rebecca Ferguson. Though one thing I will say is like Paul's mom is definitely not old enough to be his mom. Like I looked it up on Google. She's only 13 years older than Timothy Chalamet. And it's actually funny because in a 2000 miniseries, which I've started watching, it's actually pretty good. The effects are bad, but everything else is good. But I'll talk about that at the end. So the Paul's mom is also only 14 years older than Paul's actor in that movie too. So I guess it's this like trend. It's like this tradition of having Paul's mom be too hot to be Paul's mom. I don't know if that makes sense. Oscar Isaac was also in this movie, and I gotta admit, I'm not really familiar with any of his movies except for the Star Wars trilogy. I don't like to talk about much. Uh, but so it was very nice to like see him do things in a movie. You know, I felt like Poe in Star Wars didn't really contribute much to the plot after the first half hour of the movie. Like he doesn't really do that much. He's kind of sidelined in the sequels. So it's nice to see him play an important character in this. I thought he was a very good actor. You know, he was a very good paternal father figure to Timothy's Paul. They had good chemistry. His death scene was well handled. It was good. I liked Jason Momoa's character. I liked Dave Bautista's character. They were definitely more. I guess they had more to do than they did in the books. I guess. I liked the lady who was like guiding Paul through the desert. You know. She was actually in a Doctor Who episode with David Tennant called "The Waters of Mars." So it's nice to see that she's doing other stuff now. So good for her. I thought the Baron was very creepy. You know, I'd say out of the Barons, uh, I think this Baron is really creepy. He's excellently played by Stellan Skarsgård, who was in the Chernobyl miniseries on HBO. Highly recommend that if you haven't seen it. But he was a really good villain. I think he really captures like the book's menacingness, while the 2000 series leans into the more like goofy comic book villain. This one is a lot more like menacing and stone cold. Uh, One of the negatives I have to say, I feel bad about saying this, but like the music was a bit like generic in my opinion. Like I feel like Dune has such like I don't know, they have such like an ethereal kind of trippy quality to it that this typical movie soundtrack by Hans Zimmer doesn't really capsule that well. I mean, it's not like the music's bad. It's just like it feels very similar to Hans Zimmer's other scores. Well, Dune the movie is a very different type of movie. You know, it's not like the music sounded like something from a Christopher Nolan movie, which is fine. But like Dune's not that. It's very different, and I feel like the soundtrack just kind of sounded like standard movie soundtrack. It's not like it was like horrible or anything, but I would have preferred a more like, you know, a more different soundtrack, I guess. But one of the complaints I feel about this movie that is not justified is the fact that a lot of people seem to think the ending is abrupt. A lot of people, like, you know, they're like, oh, it ended without any closure, any sense of closure. Or it's like, first of all, this is part one of a two-part movie. You know, it doesn't have to have any closure. And two, I think it does work as an ending for a movie because you have the final little fight scene with the swords, and then he walks off with Zendaya saying, "This is only the beginning." Then the movie ends. Like when I heard people complaining that the movie's ending was abrupt, I had in my mind more of like a Soprano style thing, more it just ends like this. But this one is a lot more like, you know, I think it has a definite ending. This is only the beginning. Then they walk off into the sunset. I think that's a pretty definite ending for a movie. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's just my thoughts. So yeah, I thought this movie was excellent. You know, I don't know if it's a movie of the year. I'd say movie of the year is probably The Father. Uh, but you know, this is probably second best movie of the year, so I'll give him that. I That was excellent. I give it a B. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of Dune. Did you like it? Is it as good as the book? Um, I think okay. If we're gonna compare like it to the 2000 miniseries on Sci-Fi, I think the Sci-Fi Channel's miniseries the green screens didn't look good. It felt like a 80s episode of Doctor Who. Well, this one has like such a bigger budget, you know. So obviously the newer one's better, but I'm not slacking on the old one. I'm just saying comparatively. What do you like? What do you think about like the book Dune, the movie Dune, all the other attempts they've done in the past? Are you guys excited for Dune Part Two? Do you think Part Two is gonna be good? Are you excited to see more Zendaya's character Chani? Zendaya's a good actress from what I've seen her in, so I'm supposed to be fine. Yeah, great movie all around. I think it. I don't know if it was too long. I don't think it was too long. I think I don't. I think I just really had to go pee during the last half hour, so maybe that contributed to it. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. We'll be talking about the next episode of Doctor Who that comes out. But in the meantime, peace.